This is the thing that I think that we need to talk about right now on this hair loss channel. We're going to talk about psychology. We're going to talk about depression. And I think it's very relevant to what's going on. With over 3,000 subscribers, I know that this has to affect all of us in some sort of way. Now, something I have mentioned before on my channel here about hair loss is I've pointed out the fact there are some men, they are Norwood 4 or 5 by age 21. And they're completely okay with it. They start working out, they shave their head, and they grow a beard. They find some skill or trade that they're proud of and it makes them part of their identity. And they're confident despite losing their hair at age 21. Meanwhile, there are people who are 25 that are maybe as bad hair loss as I've got, Norwood 2.5, pushing 3 or whatever. And yet they freak out about it. They can't handle it. Why? Well, I mean, ultimately because, oh no, the world won't accept me if I have this for my hair, so I better do something about it. I better spend some money. I need to get a hair transplant. I need to take Propecia. I need to stop this hair loss because my life's not going to be as good if I don't have hair. I have to maintain this look to be confident in who I am, for my life to be good. He says that. Meanwhile, the 21-year-old, who is much balder and younger, moves on with his life, and it doesn't bother him. Why does that happen? It's how we process things. Something I constantly say on this channel is, so many of the people who watch my videos are focused on the superficial. How do I stop the hair loss? What do I do? Oh no. And I'm never really answering that question. I have no interest in really answering that question. I'll experiment with rosemary oil just because who else is doing it? No one. I am. I'll be that guy. But ultimately, I'm not trying to solve that problem. I'm trying to help people become like that guy I mentioned a minute ago, the 21-year-old who's already bald and just moves on with his life and is fine with it. Why can't we all be like him? Well, see, some people say, oh, well, look at him, he's got a better head shape than I do. Or he's got a better skin complexion, he looks better, I'm too pale. Or we can always think of reasons why that guy can get away with it, but yet the rest of us can't, right? I've said also so many times, you either allow yourself to be the victim by default, that's what most people do, or you proactively choose to be victorious, okay? But why can't some people make that transition? Why do some people, for the rest of their life, and I mentioned it a couple weeks ago in a video, I know men in their 60s that are still bothered by their hair loss. And they've been bald most of their adult life and they're still bothered by it. And then there's guys that are in their early 20s that have already gone bald and they've moved on with their life. What's the difference? You could say, well, maybe it's how we're wired. Okay, I'll give you that. Now let's check out this article on HuffPost.com. An article that came out quite recently called "The Real Causes of Depression Have Been Discovered and It's Not What You Think." Well, you know what? It is what I think. See, in American culture, here's what happens if someone is depressed. They're told, you have a chemical imbalance. We've got this prescription for you. It's going to help you with your imbalance. Goodbye. So for the rest of their life, they take these pills so that the balances are correct. And that's the solution. But not if you're Nick Shell. Nick Shell says, you want to say a chemical imbalance is the cause. I want to say that's the effect. If we want to look at levels of chemicals, that's fine, but that's an after effect of what already happened to cause that person to be depressed. And I say it's something that happened to that person that they never dealt with. And sure enough, that's what this article says. It says they've studied it enough, they've studied enough cases. People who suffer from depression are more likely, much more likely, to have suffered a childhood trauma that they never dealt with. They never got a release of shame from, is what it says. Now, I get it. To some degree, all of us have some sort of wound from our childhood. And some of us got over it and some of us didn't. And some of our wounds are greater than others. But ultimately, the thing that defines us in the end is if we dealt with it or not. So people are dealing with depression. They're taking these pills and being told that's the answer. Yet I personally know people who are depressed. They struggle with dark depression. And I don't say anything, but I already know. I'm thinking, what happened when you were a child? Not that I care for nosy reasons, but I think that because I'm like, they need to deal with that. This article talks about a lot of women that were sexually abused when they were children or teenagers, and they never dealt with it. They never had any kind of a professional to talk to them about that. It leads to depression. They said that's a lot of cause for females, some sort of abuse like that. But it could be a lot of things though. It could be that your parents got divorced when you were 4. It could be that your dad left. It could be that your mom died. It could be lots of things that were out of your control. And as an adult, you feel like you've got no control over them. So it really bothers you. But I think that goes back to the victor versus victim thing. There are going to be parts of life that you cannot control, and there are going to be those that you can. So it's a matter of, none of us can help what happened to us as children. Whatever our wound is, whatever our childhood trauma might have been, and again, I'm not here to compare who's had worse ones. What I'm here to say is, some of us dealt with it, and some of us never did. And I would speculate that those of us who still have psychological issues from something that happened when we were a kid that haven't been dealt with, I think those people are more likely to worry about hair loss. And I think the people who dealt with it, and I don't mean like, just get over it. No. I mean like they talked it out with a professional, psychologist, whatever, some sort of counselor. They dealt with it, and they were able to move on with that way. Instead of just put it in the closet and pretend it's not part of you. See, that's the thing. We have to make all of these things part of our identity. All the good things about me, all my talent, everything good about me, that's part of me. And then every bad part about me, I accept that as well as part of me. The whole makes who I am. And some people have stuff that they're stowing away in the closet pretending, well, no one needs to know about that. And therefore they never deal with it. So this article comes out backing up what I've always believed about depression. You want to say it's a chemical imbalance? Fine. But what caused the chemical imbalance in your childhood that you never dealt with? Again, it's on HuffPost.com. The real causes of depression have been discovered, and they're not what you think. They are what I think. I think we have to deal with the problems that have happened to us. We've got to find a way to release that. Otherwise, when trivial things come along, like hair loss, which is normal, it's normal for men. When things like that come along, then we can be like that guy who's 21 and says, oh man, I'm Norwood 4. Okay. Zzz, works out, buff, learns a trade, goes to college, whatever he does, becomes a business owner. He finds ways to focus on that. But ultimately, why is he able to do that? Because he knows how to psychologically overcome things. Our modern American culture teaches you can't help it. You have a chemical imbalance. Take this for the rest of your life. This is the solution. Now, what I'm not here to say is that you shouldn't take medicine. No, I'm saying do what your doctor says, of course. But would you be willing to talk to someone who could actually help you deal with this? Because I personally know people who are depressed and they just take the medicine and they don't talk about their childhood and what happened to them. And it's like, I know that that's the only way they're really going to get better. But until then, it's this constant struggle that they deal with. I think there definitely is a connection between people who deal with their traumatic events in their childhood and those who end up with depression. And I believe that because it's backed up in a scientific article. Likewise, I also believe that those of us who freak out about hair loss, that goes back to those people having not learned how to overcome issues, and maybe it goes back something in your childhood. While other people move on and it doesn't bother them because they know how to deal with it. That's what I think. Tell me what you think in the comments. I think this is radical information.